The 21st century is certainly a unique time. On one hand, we stand as the beneficiaries to incredible advancements in science, in medicine, in peace, in being able to experience an incredible state of life that many of our ancestors simply didn't have available to them. We know more about this world than ever before, and so many of us live now predictable, healthy, safe lives in a way that many of those that came before us could only imagine. But on the other hand, there have been absolute unprecedented challenges and obstacles to living in our current time. So, what is really contributing to this? Why, even though we have so much available to us, are so many of us reporting high instances of unhappiness, of unease, of not feeling good, of feeling anxious, feeling not at home in our bodies, and feeling very unsure and uncertain about our future? Hi, my name is Keisha Dent. I'm a certified mindset hypnotist and the author of Life Change Now. And today I want to continue a discussion that we started a while ago in an earlier video. And today we're talking all about life in the 21st century, modern contemporary life, and why it could be contributing to heightened reports that we have of unhappiness, of lack of peace, of people feeling as though they feel out of place, out of sorts in the world, and not feeling good about themselves, their lives, or their future. So in the previous video, we kind of brought up a few things. I definitely encourage you to check that out as that will be available. But I wanted to kind of continue on the earlier discussion that we started with. And in the previous video, we mentioned a book called Lost Connections by Johann Hari. This book is really, really fascinating, and I bring it up a lot. So the story about this book is Johann Hari, the author, was someone who is experiencing a lot of depression throughout his life. It was a lifelong battle for him. And he tried to do different things, mostly medication, tried some other things to be able to manage it. And he found that sometimes the medication worked, sometimes it didn't. But he still was exploring what was the cause, what was going on. And eventually, what he found out and what lies at the root of the book is disconnection. This whole theme of disconnection from things that we need as human beings. And especially in 21st century life, and you could even start before then, beginning in 20th century, maybe even before that. We have embraced certain aspects of daily lifestyle that have gotten us away from what really, really makes us happy, what makes us thrive, what we need in order to feel safe and fulfilled and good, at peace, confident, well, okay? So this is an excellent book. I highly encourage you to read it. Because as a certified mindset hypnotist, I certainly know that there are higher rates of people reporting not feeling good, reporting feeling anxious, reporting feeling depressed, reported feeling just not good, just very low and not in a good place. And of course, it's easy to just start to kick our modern time and say it's a dystopia and kick it when it's down. We kind of talked about why that's not such a great idea, even though it's a common idea, but it's not such a great idea. We talked about that in the previous video. And the thing about it is every time has its unique challenges, and we certainly are no exception to that. But what's unique about the 21st century is we are now sitting kind of at, as of right now, an apex of previous decisions, previous social change that has been happening that has led us to this current point. And the point is, and why I really, really enjoy Johann Hari's book, is because he brings up a lot of very good points, as well as perfect examples of people who also dealt with depression and how they felt so much better once lifestyle changes were made. And the whole idea that, or the whole fact that we have so many high reporting numbers of people feeling unwell, people feeling not good, feeling anxious, etc., recently also supports that, yes, there may be a lot of people who are simply having chemical imbalances, simply having issues going on in their bodies, genetic issues, unexplained issues in their bodies that may need to be managed through medication and through other medicinal methods. But I believe that the numbers are so high because there's something more going on than that. There's a bigger story going on with that. And this is what we wanted to investigate so that we can learn to take care of ourselves in the 21st century, to be happy in the 21st century. So, first of all, again, I'm not interested in trashing this time. I enjoy living right now. I understand. I live with such gratitude of the gifts and the benefits that we have right now. And I know for me personally, there's a lot of other times that we could be living at that I prefer not to. And I am glad. But I absolutely 220% recognize that there are so many obstacles and challenges to that, to what we're going through. So let's not waste any time. So the first thing that that I believe, again, just as me, I am not a licensed counselor. I'm not a licensed psychotherapist. I am a certified hypnotist. And I'm also, like you, a fellow traveler in the 21st century. So I'm just sharing my experience as someone who helps people to help people to feel better, and just a random woman who's on the same journey as you, right? On the same ship as you, just describing what I see and what I believe could be contributing. And of course, you also will talk about what came up in Johann Hari's book as well, and what he noticed and what he talks about in his book. So the first thing that can make life in the 21st century feel a lot more heavy and a lot sadder is the fact that we are not meant to and don't do well with heavy, harsh, cruel, critical thoughts. We're not meant to have that. We thrive under encouraging thoughts, beautiful thoughts, thoughts that grow our confidence, that grow us and grow who we are, that make us want to expand and make us want to go after other things. And what is unique in the 21st century is that there is now another added way that many of us are experiencing harsh, awful, cruel, criticism on ourselves. And that is, of course, due to the rise of the internet in general and social media in particular. So social media is, on one hand, a wonderful tool. I love YouTube. YouTube sometimes is usually lumped into social media category. I like Instagram as some of my favorites. And I'm so glad they're around because they're very, very useful. And it is a incredible innovation that is able to make, for example, small business owners like myself be able to get our message out and not have to go through gatekeepers. It also is an excellent way for us to keep in contact with each other, right? To find each other. I just recently met up with some wonderful high school friends out the blue. Hi, JD and Christine, that I fell out of contact with in high school through what? Social media, right? It's miraculous and it's really awesome. But on the other hand, it is also a vehicle that can be a way for humans to act out our lowest qualities, our lowest and most destructive behavior. Cruelty is a particular human trait that is certainly something that comes out in full force in social media. It's a perfect combination of anonymity and being able to easily get people's attention and make yourself feel better by pulling other people down. And it also is a way to, as well, elevate yourself by trying to show how great you are and how great your life is. And this is, of course, has had a detrimental effect on our well-being. And the thing about it is, so much of this broadcasting and attacking people and trying to self-elevate ourselves and show how great our lives are, how fabulous our lives are, which by all means, comparatively means that your life is not. If someone else's life is great, you're not there with them or doing anything similar, that means that you are losing out and are not on the in crowd. And so all this does is this causes us to think harsh, awful thoughts about ourselves that we tend to repeat over and over and over and again in our head. We tend to think thoughts of lowness, okay, and not being good enough. And this is where we need to be able to regulate this and to challenge that. And it's a good exercise too to look at your social media and ask yourself, okay, well, where can I actually put in my inner cheerleader? Where can I encourage myself? Where can I program the technology? Because it's your tech. The technology is your servant. So if you find that it's harming you, why not give it a different instruction and ask it to start looking to give you things that are going to encourage you, to cause you to glow up, to want to grow, expand, and move out. So you start with that and begin to know that it's a good idea to regulate your exposure to things that are making you feel bad. Okay. And to be able to give yourself some step back from that. So that's a huge one. Number 2 is diet and exercise. Okay. The 21st century, again, has continued a story which, again, began previously, is not overnight, began in the 20th century, where we have kind of shifted the way the society works, which, again, a lot of it is good. I'm not trying to throw out everything, throw out the baby with the bathwater, as the saying goes. But because there has been change, then there has been a press for very processed, quick, unhealthy food, but also food that is addictive as well, to alleviate the stress of 20th and 21st century life. And I know this is a common one. A lot of people are like, well, duh. Yes, our food is bad. Of course. You're not telling me anything new. But yet, oftentimes when I bring that up, a lot of people also, with the same breath, are like, admit that, yeah, okay, that their diet could be better and they're not improving. It's important to remember that you are feeling with your body. Everything is connected. You're experiencing the world with your body. And so if you are feeling out of sorts, it's really important to make sure your body is getting the best level of food and hydration that it can. Okay, it's a machine, it's a system. And in order to feel better, you really have to put energy into that. And also, in addition to that, of course, is exercise. Okay, that's another way that we have become increasingly sedentary as life has moved on. We've kind of moved away en masse from very labor-intensive jobs to a lot of us are very sedentary throughout the day. And then we're still tired, of course. So then we come home and we're still sedentary. And exercise and movement is so important. It's not just for your looks. It's not just for your waistline. It's not just for your love handles. Not just for you to fit into that thing that you want to fit into, though that's great. Those are all worthy goals. But it's also about keeping your body in tune and being able to have it feel as good as it needs to. Your brain, what you're experiencing this world with, is an organ. It's part of your body. And it needs to get oxygen regularly from movement. Okay? Movement, getting your blood flowing is really, really important. You will begin to have to not just feel better, but also to have better ideas, be able to be more quick-witted, etc. when you start to move. I love exercise. It's so important to me. And I begin to feel a difference in my moods when I don't exercise. It's so important. You can just start small. Okay, so diet and exercise. And again, these are things that people often will be like, well, duh. But oftentimes with the same breath, they will admit that they're not doing those things. So really check in and get serious about that. Okay, it may not seem like it's exactly connected, but really, really it is. And another issue that we may have to face, especially in 21st century life, is, as it came up in Johann Hari's book, disconnection from nature. Now, I can go off on this because one thing that I absolutely adore and I love, and back where we live, there's a little patch of forest and a stream that runs through there. And in 2020, we started feeding the birds because we were home a lot more, obviously. And we just looked outside and we see birds running around. So we just decided to start feeding them and see what happened. And that has changed my life. It has absolutely changed my life. just being able to spend time looking at these wild animals and just watching them, getting to know them. I'm now an absolute certified bird nerd. I can recognize all the birds that are in my backyard. If I see one that I don't see, I'm right away. Both of us, we're going through the bird. We have a bird manual. We go through the bird. We're on the Audubon Society's website trying to find the bird. We found a couple of new species, but we are super recognize the birds, all the birds that are near me, and we love watching their patterns and their life, and everything, all of it. Seeing the migrations, realizing that some birds are here only in the spring and summer and fall, they take off in the winter. And we actually get a species of bird that comes in for the winter that actually is way up north of us in northern Canada in the summer and comes down to be warmer in the winter. And our winters are cold. That always makes me laugh. The fact this bird comes to a pretty cold place in the winter to be warm. It shows you everything about northern Canada's winters. But it's a fascinating, it just gives me so much peace and calm just to sit outside and just watch the birds, spend time with the birds. We are animals, and it's really, really important that we understand that and respect that and connect with nature. And Johann Hari, again, in his book, Lost Connections, talks about how not only does it disrupt animals, of course, when you take them out of their natural habitat, how distressed they get, they stop eating, they start stressing out, they get unhealthy, they may self-harm themselves and pull out their fur, their feathers. But how we are also animals and how we also are meant to interact with nature. We're meant to be outside, breathe fresh air. We're meant to move, returning to exercise, to walk, to hike, to be connected. And we will never, ever go back to not being able to interact with trees and with birds, because it's such a healing balm. And it makes me feel so much better. It is in its own, it's like a medication. It really, really is. I absolutely love bird watching and feeding the birds and watching their patterns and knowing their cries. I recognize their sounds, their songs, and it's amazing. Please get back into nature. Another thing he brought up is disconnection from community, and how in the 21st century, life again has shifted so that we no longer have to be a part of a tribe to survive. It's now completely possible to live completely on your own, do your own thing, and have all your needs met. Now, once upon a time, for many, many, many thousands of years, that was not the case. We had to live as part of a community, and everyone had a role. And you had to do that in order to survive. Anyone who was by themselves was going to be saber-toothed tiger food. You know what I mean? Everyone had a role, and you did that role, and we all worked together. And now, of course, since we've gone away from that, many of us are lonelier than ever before, because you don't have to have that connection per se to survive. But because we are social creatures, we're meant to have a community. We're meant to have somewhat of a tribe situation, and everyone's different. For many of us, like myself included, like I'm definitely consider myself a lone wolf type of person, and I know other people are as well. But the truth is that even in that case, we still need connection. We still need people in our lives that love us, that care for us, and we need to care for other people. We need to connect. So this is something that if you find that you're lonely and most of your interaction is done online, it's definitely time to be more vulnerable. And it's a scary feeling when you're an adult, but be more vulnerable and begin to leave and to go out more and to spend more time outside. Okay. And it can be very scary again because it takes vulnerability. It takes childlike vulnerability in order to want to make connections again as an adult, but it's worth it. It's worth it. And it feels good to do that. And it's very, very important to our well-being. Another one, a disconnection that we could have from in the 21st century is from a sense of adventure and wonder. Again, beginning back 20th century, maybe even before that, we have been generally being pushed, especially for the middle classes and up, into a very safe, secure, very, 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 very highly repetitive lifestyle, where a typical, starting again in 20th century, moving to now, a typical experience, you get up, you get dressed, you go to work, you do the work thing, you work and work, You come home, you're tired, you veg out, you eat. Maybe you do some other things, you go to bed, and then you repeat. And maybe you get a couple of days off, maybe the weekend comes, etc. You do some things, you stay local, and then you do it all over again. And there's nothing certainly wrong with this inherently, but it's also important to remember that once more, we are wild creatures, right? We're animals too. And this sort of lifestyle can definitely cause us to feel low, to feel not good, to feel trapped, to feel numb, to just feel blah, and just not in a good place. And honestly, too, the more we do it, the more it can actually feel scary to leave. It's a very odd sort of thing that happens where the more you stay in one place, even if you want to leave, the more you kind of latch onto that place and it becomes harder to leave. We're meant to have adventure. We're meant to push limits. We're meant to push ourselves. We're meant to be the fool. Okay? Like in our lives, we're so comfortable. We know everything. We know everything. We know exactly what's going to happen here. Everything is so predictable in the 21st century. Everything down to the weather. The weather used to be something that was absolutely out of control to predict. That's not the case anymore. It's now we have apps, we have websites that can predict what's going to happen there. We know what to expect there. We know what to expect in general if something should happen. We can look up anything that we have a question about. And all this predictability is on the one hand wonderful, but on the other hand, it also can strangle the wildness out of life, the joy, the surprise, the dance that we have with life. So if you feel like you realize that you just haven't gotten out of your own bubble, it's really good. And again, it may be scary, but it's really good to be able to break away from what's familiar, to be able to travel more, spend more time away, or even you don't have to go far. It's more about changing your experiences and being open to an experience where you are the fool. As in, and I reference this, I love tarot, and the Fool card is all about the having an experience, right? Is all about not knowing anything, being out of your element and learning things for the first time. Where do you need to learn things all over for the first time? And traveling is one of the easiest and most wonderful ways to be the fool, right? To not know what the heck's going on, to just look at the world with a complete fresh set of eyes. That's often what we need to do in order to feel good. We need more of that, to bring more of that in our lives. And another one is life direction and purpose. Okay, so this obviously is a big one. If you are feeling as though you are just drifting along and you don't have a direction or a purpose, it's really important to figure that out. And I've actually did a video on that previously. Check that out on life purpose and direction. And direction is more important than purpose. It's important that you feel as though you're moving towards something. It may not be the right way. Just pick a direction, north, south, east, west, and just go. And eventually what will happen is you will meet people, experiences, and circumstances that will eventually take you to where you want to be. So just get moving. Pick something that interests you, that lights you up. You can check out that other video and just go. And the last one is disconnection from childhood trauma, which Johann Hari also brought up as well. And this is certainly something that I know, again, as a hypnotist, that a lot of times what we need to feel better is we need to be able to work on and deal with the unfortunate things that have happened to us. And the reason for this is we often have things in our past that happened to us that we need to deal with, that we repress, that we're not facing. And there's a saying that says something like, pain that cannot be expressed in tears will cause other organs to weep. I think Marissa Peer said that. And that's accurate, because what that means is when we hold it in and we need to deal with things, what comes up could actually manifest in either physical ailments or emotional ailments as well, and that they need to be dealt with. Okay, so these are just some lifestyle things to check in with that are often a part of modern life that also can contribute to a feeling of anxiety, of depression, of not feeling good. And I encourage you to check in with your life and see where these places, there could be some adjustment in these places. Okay. And by all means, of course, if you are struggling with this definitely reach out. It's always a wonderful place to start with a licensed counselor, a licensed psychotherapist, to see them and to talk with them and to work on these things. And if you want additional support and you would like to explore natural ways to feel better and to take up new habits and new thoughts to feel better, then hypnosis and hypnotherapy is a wonderful, wonderful tool. It's a wonderful natural tool to feel better, to be able to control and to manage your own thoughts, your own emotional responses to create better results in your life. And I certainly encourage you to check that out. You can, if you're ready to do that, reach out to me. You can find me at newworldhypnosis.com. There's buttons everywhere. You can sign up for a free consultation, get your questions answered, learn more about hypnosis, and hang out with me here. I'm going to talk a lot about what hypnosis is, how it can help, about our minds, etc. Okay? So that's it for today. This video has gone on way long, but that is it. And I just want you to know always that peace, calm, confidence are available to you always. And I want you to remember always, in order to change yourself, you must first change your life. Thank you so much and be well, and I'll talk to you soon.